Ready?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to More Than a Party podcast. I know I haven't been faithful like I promised in releasing episodes, but I have a special episode for you today. And if you're just listening, I'm going to give an intro. If you're watching, then you already know. And you're just like, we see who it is. That's okay. But if you're just listening, you know that um, uh, my family has put out a number of prayer requests, and that has been for my little sister Abby. And so I have Abby with me here today, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on. We have had a number of people asking us questions about what's going on. And so I was just like, hey, Abby, why don't we just release an episode and we'll just lay it all out there for everyone to hear, and they can know what we know and know exactly what to pray for, to be contending for, to be interceding for, in their own prayer time. Because the outpouring, and Abby can speak on this too, but the outpouring of just thoughts and people texting all of us, my whole family, about how Abby is doing has really just been just very, just eye opening in the sense that so many people care. So many people care about Abby. So many people care about how she's doing, about our family. And to say that we're grateful is just an understatement, because we're just so blessed to know that literally people from all over the world have reached out. And I'm not just saying that. People from England, people from China, people from Africa, people from Canada, from Mexico, literally everywhere, Australia, people all over the place have been reaching out to my parents, to myself, asking how Abby is doing. And so we'll start from the beginning. Um, and again, uh, we'll take you through what happened and where we're at now. And but yeah, so I have my little sister, she's the baby of the family. She's number 7. She's a twin. She was born, she came out after Angelina.
Yes.
So, Abby, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, bro.
We gotta get what the people want, you know?
Yeah, had to let people know
Yeah.
my favorite person in the world named Abigail.
Is me.
My favorite person in the world whose name is
Oh,
Abigail.
wow. Doesn't even count.
It counts. So, Abby,
What's up?
what in the world happened? What happened to you? Take us through it.
It's a good question. Well, it was about 2 weeks ago, and it was just a normal Sunday. Nothing too wild. Got ready for church, but I was under the weather, so I guess that's a big thing.
How were you under the weather? What were you
I
feeling
had a
like?
cold.
Okay, cold.
What we thought was a cold. I had a cold. I was getting congested. Just, my body was sore. Nothing crazy though. Just, cold. You pop something in and you feel, better or whatever. So I've had colds before. So I just had a cold. So I went to church just thinking it was just a minor cold. And then I guess when the service was ending, my dad was praying. All of a sudden I felt super weak, and I feel like my body was kind of giving out on me. And so I called my sister over and I was like, hey, like, I probably wasn't like this, but I was like, hey, like, I'm feeling super weak. Like, I'm feeling dizzy. And then just like all of a sudden, I just kind of passed out. And just really random. And so a lot of people came towards me, but I wasn't getting out of this, I guess, whatever's going on. I was still unconscious, conscious, unconscious, conscious kind of thing. So it wasn't just like, oh, she fainted. It was still like something, it was long.
Yeah, so Abby, just from, because obviously she doesn't remember when she passed out and like what transpired. So yeah, she's feeling weak and she's feeling dizzy. And then like she said, she called my little sister Gigi over, who's her twin. and Gigi's she's in pre-med right now in college. And so she called her over, and then next thing you knew, Abby was sitting down, thank God, and Abby's head was just like back, and Abby's eyes rolled back. And so we're gonna take you through it as if we don't know what's going on, because so we're gonna give you our reactions of the immediate thoughts that were happening. It wasn't like, oh, it's everything's gonna be okay. Right. No, we were like, this is serious, because like Abby just said, she went back, and it was immediately like, what is going on? Even if she was passing out, like, why is she passing out? But the problem is Abby wasn't coming to. Right. When you pass out, typically you faint or whatever, and then you come back and you're like, oh my gosh, I hit my elbow, or too much blood rushed to my head.
You didn't eat anything that morning?
You didn't eat anything?
No, I'm saying some people just don't eat, and some people's like blood sugar goes down, you know?
And so I'm back there, and I'll just give you my perspective. Next thing I know, so I'm like, I see it. So I immediately call 911. This is unlike Abby. This is unnatural. This isn't something we've seen before. So I call 911. I start getting on the phone. So I start talking to them. And the next thing I know, Abby's laying on the floor. Like, they laid her on the floor. And again, she's still not coming to. Probably for the whole time. So probably for 15 minutes between when I called 911 and when they actually responded, Abby's on the floor going in and out of consciousness. So again, no one knows what's going on. I mean, this is so not normal. And so, I'm on the phone with 911. They're asking all types of questions. They finally respond and take Abby to the ER. But what was going through your head, Abby?
Well, I think I was like, what is going on with my body right now? It was very interesting. So, but when I came to, it was very like nonchalant, I think. Like when I came up, I went to the thing, the ambulance, and they were like, oh, you probably just didn't eat enough, or what'd you eat today? Did you have coffee? Did you have a donut? And I was like, well, I had a coffee and a donut, yes. And like, well, that's not enough food, but that's usually what I eat. I'm not really a big eater. So I was like, well, that's like my normal thing. But it was definitely a nonchalant kind of vibe that I was feeling. And so I was like, okay, maybe it's just like they were telling me people pass out for like all sorts of like non-crazy reasons. So I was like, okay, maybe this is just like a weird thing. So that was kind of going through my head. I think that was just like, yeah, this is just a weird thing. But
when Abby's laying down at the church, we're still waiting for 911 to get there. Abby couldn't move her legs.
Yeah, my legs.
So she's just laying there, and Abby could not move her legs.
Or my toes.
Or her toes, yeah. So she couldn't move anything. Couldn't stand up or nothing. So again, we're like, what is this? What is happening to Abby right now? She didn't hit her head or anything because we took care of her. But again, we're like waiting for the ambulance to get there, and Abby's not being able to feel her toes. She can't move her legs. She's in and out of consciousness. She's very weak, crazy pale. I mean, her legs were so pale. So again, from our perspective, as family's perspective, we're, like, okay, this is serious. This is serious. And so Abby goes, I call, and my other sister, Alyssa's a nurse. I call her. I'm like, hey, are you working? I couldn't remember. And so if she was working or not. She's like, yeah. I'm like, Abby's on her way. And she works in the emergency room, thank God. And that's another thing throughout this story is that God's favor has just been on our family through this whole time. And just it's really evident in so many ways. But so Abby goes to the ER. Yeah. So what happened, Abby?
Again, it was kind of like, I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on with my body right now. I can't feel my legs, my toes. And so it was still kind of like a nonchalant thing, to be honest, and I know my mom did not like that because the guys that took me were kind of just like, she's fine, kind of like, not she's fine, but this is just going to pass. And it did not pass. It got worse. Yeah. But yeah, so we go to the ER and I'm there just sitting there and just kind of waiting until my sister comes, and right away, family knows. My sister's like, this is like not normal. Yeah. And so my sister, I think a lot, like Aaron just said, a lot of God things. My sister has a lot of connections inside the ER. So I feel like she kind of brings people that are like the best, and all this, they just all start just doing things. They start testing my toes, my legs. And so they definitely realize, okay, this is not normal. Like your
Yeah.
body is reacting to something, that you just had, a few minutes ago. So yeah, just laying there for a minute until my family arrived was super super interesting. Yeah, because we didn't know. We're like, what's going on? And they thought maybe it was seizures.
Yeah.
That
So
Yeah,
they're not seizures. We know that because they're not
no,
affecting
they're
her
not.
brain. So for the sake of we don't know what they are, we'll call them episodes from here on
Yeah,
out.
episodes.
But uh, so Abby was having episodes, and I saw one of them. Typically, what happens is Abby becomes very short of breath. Her heart rate will spike to about it was spiking to at the highest it was spiking to 180, which is if you're familiar with anything,
Hmm.
you know that at an athlete, their highest heart rate during a performance is probably like in the 160. And so Abby's just sitting there
Yeah.
and her heart rate's getting up to 180. And this is what was scary is that they called that a fatal heart rate. And that's what they told my dad during this time. And so again, we're just getting fed all these different things. Like we don't know what's going on. We don't know why this is happening. We're gonna put her on heart medicine. And then so they put her on heart medicine and they're wanting to transfer her to another hospital. And so they call the cardiologist, the head cardiologist at the other hospital. And what does the head cardiologist tell
They
them?
they told us no.
So they denied her transfer over there because, like Abby was saying, everyone just poo-pooed this for lack of a better word.
Right.
They were so these some of these nurses, and not the nurses, I shouldn't say, but the EMT and this cardiologist were like, oh, this isn't real. This isn't a big deal. And so they denied Abby's transfer to the other hospital, to the head, to where the cardiologist specialist is, because they were like, oh, her heart rate didn't get to 180 on its own. The nurses must have done that on their own. They must have somehow manufactured her heart rate to get to that point, which was just again complete nonsense, complete like, what are you even talking about? To be able to say that, like the nerve of you to accuse your nurses in the ER and accuse them of spiking some
Hmm.
patient's heart rate just to get a transfer. It just made no sense. But and then on top of that, the cardiologist was like, "Oh, she doesn't need to be on heart medication," which they had put her on. And so they take her off. 15 minutes later, she immediately has another episode. So again, we're all like,
It was
what is
probably my
happening?
worst episode too, probably these whole 2 weeks. It was probably my worst one that I've had because I guess I stopped breathing for a second or two as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so these episodes, I don't know if I already stated, I might have got sidetracked, but she's
yeah,
very short of breath, like she's
yeah,
having an asthma attack,
yeah.
and her eyes roll back. She loses all form of just control over her body, and a number of people during this past 2 weeks have caught her um, before she falls, and have laid her down gently, and it's unfortunate and it's very frightening to see. And I'm not trying to freak Abby out because she knows what's happening,
Hmm.
and we're just relaying this information to you so that you're aware and so that you can be praying for her in this situation. So Abby goes to the ER. She gets transferred to the other hospital, and again, that cardiologist
I see you.
in the ICU
Yeah.
comes and just again was just speaking nonsense. What the
It felt
cardiologist
very
say?
controversial, honestly. My thing did. It was like this person thought it was this, and this person thought it was this. It was very combative. Like these
Yeah, just a lot of
hospitals were like
people fighting
fighting.
over. Yeah,
Yeah, it was like very like, and still to this day, honestly, nobody agrees. Like it's kind of like it's a heart or the brain, but we'll stick to before. Yeah, so the cardiologist comes in and she kind of just says, she actually told me, she said your heart is on a treadmill and it's not stopping. Like your body is on a treadmill and it keeps going. So she's like, and you can't get off the treadmill. So I was
hmm.
like, okay, I guess it's a good analogy. She's like, so that's obviously, you're not on a treadmill, you're sitting down, so there's a problem. So that night was super super just stressful, and two, I got diagnosed, or I have a virus. I had a virus called RSV. It's a respiratory virus, and usually children have that. And so that was another thing that was super, super rare as a 20-year-old getting a child's virus. And so that was another thing that kind of came into play of what was going on. So
Yeah, and when
yeah,
we found out she had RSV, we were kind of like, okay, we can put a name to it of what's going on. Like,
yeah,
okay, but why is her body not reacting well to it? Why is her heart not reacting well to this respiratory problem? And no one knows. Abby did so on Monday after Sunday. Sunday's when it happened, and that Monday, Abby did a number of tests as well as Tuesday. Abby, you got a CAT scan.
I got an echo, I got an EEG, I got an EKG. Um, I got something. I don't know. No, the echo's my heart. Yeah. So I did a lot of things, a lot of tests, just looking to see, and there was nothing
Yeah,
that
so,
they saw.
yeah. So they can't find anything,
Mm-hmm.
and so she was in there until Wednesday after all these tests. These tests are coming back negative, negative, negative. Like they don't know again what's happening, but Abby is still having these episodes, and they're becoming less frequent.
Yeah.
And so Abby was, we had planned for months and months and months to go to California. And so Abby was like, I'm still, I still want to go if I can travel, if I get cleared. And so she hadn't had an episode
For a few days, and
for a few days.
I was on steroids and a like a blood pressure, which is metropropyl. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. It's just a heart medicine. And so I was on that, and I was on high dosage. So that was really keeping my heart rate at it still is to this day. It's keeping my heart rate at a level. And on the steroids, I was on prednisone, and I'm still on that to this day as well. And so that was really helping me. It was making me feel stronger, just my chest and congestion and stuff. So yeah, when I was on that.
Yeah, so Abby's on all this stuff still to this day,
Mm-hmm.
but she hadn't had an episode. So she gets out of the ICU, and she's feeling good, and she's under 24-hour watch with my family. And so she goes to California. We were like, okay, that it was RSV. RSV is what's causing all of this.
Right.
She no longer has RSV. By the end of the week, it was like gone. She didn't have it, so she's good to go. And she goes to California, and she's there. No problems, no problems. And then what happened, Abby?
Um,
This is just last week.
this was just last week, yeah. So I think what happened was is the steroids, I think they wore off. So the last thing I had was Sunday, and then it came to like Wednesday or Thursday, and my heart rate actually dropped to 42. So that's really low. I don't know if anybody knows that, very low. And that's like, yeah, so it's really low, and I was on my heart medicine, but I wasn't on the steroids anymore, and so my heart dropped. And then a few hours later after that, I was walking, and I passed out. I had an episode, and one of my sisters caught me. So then I was like, all right, well, this is not done. This is still happening. And the doctors say the RSV should be gone already. So it's like we can't blame it on that anymore. So
Yeah, and luckily, one of our family doctors, Dr. Bob Hamilton, who he's a world renowned pediatrician. You could just look him up, but my family was staying with him at the time, and so she has that episode, and then a couple days later, she has another episode in his presence, and so he's like, "You need to stay here in LA, and we are going to figure this out." So he immediately takes her to another world renowned doctors, Dr. Caesar, a family friend. And he's like, we don't know exactly what it is, what's going on still, but he thinks it's more of a heart issue instead of a brain issue. And my mom had just walked in, and she could probably speak on a lot of this as well. But so basically, just to get everyone up to date, as far as what is happening, we still to this day don't know exactly what caused her body to react the way it is to this RSV. We know it's praying it's not a brain thing. She's gonna get more tests. She's gonna wear a heart monitor, and she's gonna stay on this heart medication. But again, the Dr. Caesar said it's more likely a heart issue that we're seeing, and that because her heart rate's spiking, it's dropping. So
Yeah, yeah. So now, yeah, they think it's a heart issue now. So now we're gonna do all these tests. I'm gonna have an MRI on my brain, and then I'm gonna have another MRI on my heart next week or this week. And so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And we're gonna have a 30-day heart monitor, like Aaron just said, just to see if they can catch anything. If I have an episode, they could see what's not working correctly. So
yeah, so in short, your guesses are as good as ours. When you guys ask what's going on, early on we were just like, well, it could be a heart thing, pray for her heart because it was spiking. And we didn't know exactly why. But up to this point, just keep praying that that God would give these doctors wisdom, that they would be able to see something maybe that they didn't see the first time, that if it's a different disease, that they'd be able to catch that. If it's an allergic reaction, if it's something to do with an immune problem that she might be dealing with. Literally, we don't know, and the doctors don't know. And that was a scary point as well, is that one of the doctors came in and was like, I've never seen this before. And we're all just like, well, that's not what you want to hear.
Right.
So we're at that point though where everything helps. So if you're a nurse or you're a doctor or someone that's seen something like this before, and you might have some thoughts, because my parents are in contact with, I mean, they're in the room with these cardiologists and these doctors, and so they're having these constant conversations with them. So if you say something, that can get relayed to us, and then we can relay it as well. I mean, if it's coming from a credible source. Again, just thoughts. I mean, if God drops something on you about what it could be and you want to let us know. I mean, that's how seriously we're just praying and believing God that and again, so like the favor, some of the good things that have came out of this is, number one, all of this happened around people. Now, Abby wasn't driving when this happened. Abby wasn't alone in the middle of the night, for no one to hear when this happened. I mean, it was around other people. So right off the jump, there's positive things that have come from this, and that we're looking at. My sister working in the ER when this happened, she immediately was able to scrounge up a bed, and get some doctors and nurses on it. And that's another thing too, is like every, I mean, so for those that have dealt with, hospital rooms and being transferred from floor to floor or whatnot, this can be a little overwhelming as a family member, or especially for my parents, where you're having to explain to a whole new nurse every single time. So, but that's what was happening. And a lot of these nurses ended up seeing her episodes for themselves, and we're like, oh, this is serious. When we're like, yeah, we know it's serious. Like, we were saying it was serious. You guys just didn't believe us, or whatever it was. And so again, it's serious. Abby is still dealing with these episodes. She's under 24-hour, care with my mom, especially, and my dad. She obviously lives with them, and so
yeah, and school's on hold right now, and so is work. So
school and her car as well. She just got a car.
I just bought a car like a few weeks ago, and now I can't drive it. So just like praying through that too. And I would honestly, I know people watch this, so I'm really appreciative of just the community, the church community. Just all these people text me that I don't even know, just like praying for you. And I'm really thankful for that, and I appreciate that. I really do appreciate all the prayers and the text messages, the calls. It's just been, it's overflowed me, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, it's
so
overwhelmed you.
overwhelmed me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really thankful for that. So thank you guys just for texting my parents, or texting my siblings or me, and just I'm really thankful for that. I'm really thankful for the church.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's one of the beautiful things about the churches. Um, I told our congregation, I was like, I don't know how people go through things like this alone without people all around them, and it's unfortunate because you know what happens. You know that people go through things like this with just a handful of people, but luckily, well, not luckily, but we're just extremely blessed that we have so many people. I mean, countless people. I couldn't name how many people were reaching out when I put out like, "Hey, pray for my little sister Abby," and to all of my family, to my 5 sisters, well, 4 sisters and Abby, but Abby didn't have her phone. To my brother, to my sister-in-law, to my brother-in-laws. I mean, it was like everyone was just trying to stay updated on what was going on and what they can pray for. So just an updated prayer request would be to pray that, Abby doesn't have these episodes anymore. Because like I said, she's still having them, that the doctors can get to the bottom of it with these MRIs that are coming up and these tests that are coming up. That pray for peace for all of us, pray for comforting, uh, power over us, pray for understanding. Um, just so many things that your prayers are just appreciated so
Yes.
much, and and uh, and we're looking forward to when it's all done because we know God's going to get the glory in it,
Yeah.
and He's makes all things work for the good, and we believe that. We're just waiting for that, and there have already been good, but the final good,
Yeah.
the final good. So again, we love you, and I'm gonna start a GoFundMe because this is not something that Abby needs to worry about, of course, nor really anyone. I mean, that's for another podcast as far as like healthcare and whatnot. But none of this is free, and we have insurance and stuff like that. But none of it's free, and only the best for Abby. And we're gonna make sure that she has everything that she needs to for all of us to get to the bottom of this. And money is not something that's going to hinder that. We're going to figure it out. Yeah, but I will start a GoFundMe for her, and for all of us to be able to contribute. And anything's going to help. Anything's going to help. Your prayers, number one, and if you can contribute anything financially, that'd be that'd be super super amazing. So, Abby, do you have anything else that you want to say?
Um, I would just honestly say too, like, oh, I would say, a lot of this is spiritual as well. I just feel like, it's physical. Obviously, I'm going through this physically, but it's a spiritual thing. Especially for my family and just us just fighting that, fear, anxiety, anxiousness, or just a lot of that. So that's just my comment. A lot of it is spiritual. That obviously the devil does not want us to prosper. And so I just said just spiritual, and so the prayers, just rebuking things and sickness and stuff. So yeah, I love you guys. I really appreciate all the prayers, and so yeah, that's all I have to say.
Love that. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Mama, did you on camera? You don't have to be on camera. You can just speak if you want.
Well, just
Well, before we close, I'm gonna let my mama speak for a second. She's here, and she's not gonna get on camera, but she has a mic.
Actually, just I do want to thank everybody for praying. It's been your prayers that have really sustained us. Actually, I have had so much peace in all of this. It's been really amazing. I think our if any anxiety would be just not knowing, but Dr. Bob says some really good things. Medicine takes time. And of course, we're praying and believing God for miracles. But on the conventional medicine side, it takes time to figure things out. So in the waiting, that's the hard part also. So maybe if people could just pray that we'd find out sooner than later what's going on, um, and kind of go from there. But we so appreciate everybody's prayers. We're very thankful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll see what happens. I'm sure you will be kept up to date.
Yeah, we'll keep everyone up to date again because so many of you are family, and we look at you as family, and so we don't want you to be kept in the dark. It's not like we're doing this so just to do it and just to I don't know. We're not doing this just to entertain or anything like that. This is serious, and so we want to again because so many people have reached out. We want to just thank you and keep you up to date because again, you guys care and you deserve to know what to pray for at least. So love you all. Thank you again for everything. Thanks for listening and talk to you soon. Bye bye.